This is Andrew for CollectionDX.com, and welcome back for part 2 of my review of the Unite Warriors Superion. And we're focusing on the leader, Silverbolt, and the full combiner, Superion himself. So, Silverbolt is a Concord-ish thing. He's been changed up a little bit. Although we can still tell this Silverbolt because he continues the fine tradition of having pretty much all of his robot mode on the underside. And on another note, we did see some teaser that we're going to be getting a G2 colored Superion at some point, and that'd be really cool. But anyway, the Unite Warriors version, again, it's pretty similar to the American one, although there are some notable differences. I mean, there's just kind of more paint all over, and you can kind of even tell here because most of the robot mode is present on the underside. There's more, well, I can say there's less red paint, so there's more white on the part of the chest plate. The little wings on Silverbolt's own shoulders are colored in. This is kind of all changed up. And probably the biggest change is that his little moving nose cone in the front here, that's supposed to be like the real Concorde. This is actually hard plastic. I think the tip might still be rubbery, but no, this whole thing is hard plastic. So this toy is a bit more of a lawn dart than the American version. Other than that, still pretty similar to the US one. He does have kind of an off-white color to him, and that is also how all of the hands and feet for the main combiner are colored, keeping in the tradition of the original toy. So, other than that, you can flip down his landing gear and stick his huge oversized gun on the front there. And the thing is so big it actually has its own little molded on landing wheel. But other than that, let's just kind of put him in robot mode, which is pretty easy. Just flip that down, bring this up, pop these up, and they're supposed to actually slot in on either side of these with these canards here, and they kind of go in pretty well. Bring out his own arms just to give all this enough space, and you just pull out and rotate his legs into position. Get your fingernail in here, and there's a little lip for bringing out his feet. And I'm actually going to get back to the feet. There's sort of a gripe I have about the way the feet were used on this toy. But you just do that, bring out his heel struts, because that's how you solve all stability problems with Transformers these days. And then you can just pull his chest plate forward and flip out his head. So here we go. Unite Warriors Silverbolt, part of the Unite Warriors Superion set. And he's, he's Silverbolt. Again, he has not changed too much since the old G1/G2 design. I'm just going to do this real quick. Look at G1 toys, so easy to transform. But anyways, yeah, here is my childhood G2 Silverbolt with the new Combiner Wars / Unite Warriors one. So yeah, he hasn't even really gotten that much bigger, even though he's a Voyager class toy now. So yeah, pretty Silverbolty. I'm happy with that. He, out of the three current Autobot combiner bodies, he's right up there in terms of size. Here he is alongside Hotspot, and I'll just fit Optimus Prime in as well. So he seems a little bit smaller, but he does feel fairly beefy. He doesn't suffer from Hotspot's problem where his huge backpack here took a lot of the plastic budget, so he's definitely got a bit more of a evenly distributed plastic heft. And he's also really pretty posable. He does not have a waist joint because of how his transformation in torso mode works, but he still has tons and tons of clicky ratchets. Not here though. This is more of a double joint. But it does allow him to do things like kneel down, and he does it pretty well. You do have to kind of deal with his tail fin backpack, which, oddly enough, this reminds me of other Silverbolt. You know, the one that was a samurai chicken. But anyway, he poses well. He looks pretty good. And you can pop his gun apart. You can actually wield this part pretty easily. Unfortunately, this just doesn't have the length with its peg for him to grip it too well. Because it is kind of supposed to be a shield. You just kind of stick it on here. I know, okay, it's a shield, even though it's clearly just his old G1 gun split up. You can also stick this on here if you want to use it as more like an arm cannon. But I'm more into just having him wield it normally. So yeah, Silverbolt, he's pretty good. I've done some comparison pictures with the American version. You're going to notice when the text review goes up, it's not quite ready yet, but watch for that. This is a very much nicer, kind of warmer yellow than the more orange-like color they used on the Combiner Wars version. It's supposed to be a lot more show accurate, and it just kind of feels nice and poppy. And I do like the more subtle, like matte finish red they used on his own chest plate and Superion's chest plate. It's got a good look to it, and I think it again puts just a little extra polish on what is already a pretty nice toy. So all that being said, I think it's time we go to Superion. So putting Silverbolt in torso mode is pretty easy. It involves one of my fellow reviewer D-Coon's favoriteest things ever. He basically does a handstand. Because what you're going to do with him is pop this out, and this gives you room to reach inward and push out Superion's head. So just do all that. And you're going to flip up this little panel here. It fills in part of the gap. Silverbolt's arms become the thighs of Superion. Also, you can notice on the Unite Warriors version, they colored the sides right here of Silverbolt's shoulders so that it kind of gives a more unified look to his pelvis. Superion's pelvis, I should say. And with the legs here, you're basically going to put these back out, little flaps, and partially bring him back into jet mode. Now, the gripe I was talking about before is with the feet here. This is more of an aesthetic thing, not really anything wrong with the toy. But I noticed that you can totally leave his feet out in torso mode. So I thought it would have been better if they had just engineered this to have the feet fill in this area a bit, because that would just kind of make more sense to me to do that. Because otherwise you just kind of have this gap on the side here. Actually, I'm going to do this one properly to show you. I just think that it would be cooler if the foot just sort of like tapered down and made his upper body feel just a little bit more wide at the waist. But again, it's really just aesthetics. And also I thought it'd be kind of cool because it would smooth over the airplane mode a little bit as well. So with this, you just kind of flip this thing out on a platform. And by default, there's some pretty hefty tabs here that sort of help keep the head in place, but I actually sanded them off. And as you can see, it doesn't really do much. I mean, the hinge is still there, and it still, keeps everything nice and secure in Silverbolt's own jet mode and robot mode. Anyway, I did that because I heard reports of this hinge, or this part of the hinge breaking because they're so tight, those tabs. And the Combiner Wars Galvatronus, or Cyclonus, I should say, they actually made the tab smaller because he's based off of the Silverbolt mode. So they do seem to know it's a problem. But anyway, so you're going to flip up Superion's antenna, peg that in the back there, and you just kind of bring this forward and all the way out, and then just flip down the shoulder things. So here is Superion's torso. Now you may notice that with the antenna, they're still kind of a flexible material, but they're much better molded and better painted than the American Combiner Wars version. They don't get stuck at all. They go up and down nicely, and they actually do come up into the perfect vertical position as they're supposed to. So yeah, they did manage to fix that problem pretty well, and you don't have to buy an aftermarket set for it. Alright, let me gather his limbs and we'll get the full Superion. Alright, now it's time for the aerial bots to transform into Superion. And I promise no coloring errors this time. So we're going to pop in Skydive, Air Raid, Slingshot or Sling, Fireflight or Firebolt or Firefly, and here we go. Sorry, not Combiner Wars. Unite Warriors Superion, the Japanese version. So again, you get all these guys in one set, and that's really cool. I love the way he looks. I think the rather admittedly subtle changes to the paint and the overall deco look a lot better than the American version. Again, they are kind of subtle, and it's really just for big Aerial Bots fans like myself. But still, I think he's pretty good, especially when you get him all together, because he's just a pretty solid feeling figure. And you know, as among the other combiners, his torso is just very tightly compact. It looks nice. It does kind of come apart sometimes at like this area, towards the back here. Although you could almost use this as like a bit of a joint for flexing if you wanted to. He has a head that can just kind of turn from side to side. He can look up and down. And his arms, he's got really no problem using the combiner joint that is part of the limb. And nice thing about the aerial bots is with all of them, their own arms tuck away nicely. So really no problem there with stuff flailing about. For the legs, Silverbolt's nice clicky shoulder joints are now the hip joints. So you got all this. And also you have an upper thigh swivel, just because of Silverbolt's own joints, and a midpoint where they use the combiner joint, so you can basically put all of this to good use as you're posing the toy. Cool thing too is, despite the fact that he's covered in little wings, he can still kneel down. I find it works best when you have air raid as being the knee that is on the ground, because his wings fold up nicely. So you just kind of work that into this position, and here you go. You've got Combiner Wars Superion just kind of kneeling. Very, very cool that big old combiner can actually pose even better than his components in some ways. He has no waist joint, but that's just because of how a Silverbolt becomes the torso, with the head getting stored inside his own body. But other than that, he's nice, big and chunky. You just reassemble Silverbolt's gun in order to arm Superion, just stick it in there like that, and it looks pretty good. Now for the rest of the team's weapons, there are still a bunch of places on both Silverbolts and on the aerial bots to just kind of stick all this stuff on so that it can be stored. I know a lot of people like to put the big double guns on Superion's upper thighs, because they always like, oh, he's got kind of thin thighs, but to be honest, to me, Superion always had thin thighs. I mean, the old toy, the cartoon model, that's just sort of how he was, and I think it works fine for the character. And also, if you want, you can just find places to stick all of the spare weapons, because the aerial bots themselves have lots of 5mm ports for putting their guns. I'm just going to leave these to the side for now. And I want to show you a kind of a cool way to make your Superion a little more G1-y. This is not unique to the Unite Warriors version. You can do this with the American version as well. Just take this part of the cannon and just pop it into one of the limb's arms if you're using Fireflight or Slingshot as an upper arm. So you can see here, what I'm trying to do is just kind of give him the arm cannon he had in the cartoon instead of the gun. So yeah, it works pretty well. And now he's got his arm cannon. Very easy to set up. It looks pretty good, honestly. And also I've noticed that if you want, you can fold the wings for Slingshot and Fireflight over like this to kind of cover up the little gap with the elbows. But you know, I'm pretty okay with the way the elbows look. They're actually a bit closer together on Superion when you're using these two guys as legs than it is with any of the other characters. So, and just to show you, this is the default position. This is as close to the close to the cartoon, I should say, as far as like where the aerial bots go. Of course, they kind of shifted a lot because of coloring errors, but yeah, this is default position. I'm going to show you the other configuration, because these are very Scramble City style toys with these two as the arms. So back in a flash. So here's Superion in the alternate configuration, and just like with the other two limb guys, both Skydive and Air Raid have places to put their own arms. They just sort of peg into, well, they tab into little slots on their own arms. It does seem like Skydive's arms kind of peg in tighter than Air Raid's here, but still, you know, they're pretty much out of the way. You know, everything's kind of nice and cleaned up for the most part. Oh, this chest seems to be coming apart on me for some reason. Anyway, and now he's kind of got a nice bit of leg symmetry there. So, just some quick comparisons. Here is Unite Warriors Superion next to Combiner Wars Menasor. My Menasor has the extended leg configuration, so that's always a little bit taller than Superion here. But still, they look pretty good together, you know. Nice big Combiner toys, and they're ready to face off as they did in the cartoon. And also, another American Combiner War set. We saw me review this before. Here is Defensor. He was also getting Unite Warriors release, although it's more exclusive to Karatomi Mall version. But yeah, anyway, Defensor and Superion, roughly the same size. And they also look very good together, and they're also nice, solid, big combiners. And last, but certainly not least, I want to show you Superion with the Power Glide cannon, because Power Glide is kind of the honorary sixth member of the aerial bots now. So again, it's kind of heavy for pretty much every combiner to hold, but so you can work on it and get him like two hands on the gun, and now he can actually kind of hold it better like this. But yeah, there's again, it's just sort of not really suited for the combiners, which is weird because obviously it's made for them. Just a tad little bit too heavy, just a tad. But anyway, Unite Warriors Superion. I love this set. It's very well done. I liked getting all of them at once, but you know, that's just kind of my preference there. I definitely like the white colored hands more than the American version with the black hands and feet. I think, again, all the little touches they did enhance the figure, give it a bit more of a proper G1 flair. And everything just feels just a little bit tighter, a little bit more polished on this Japanese release. I know it's kind of a cliche to say that, but no, I definitely see it coming through with this toy. Even things like the thumb joints on the combiner accessories have a bit more click to them, or even some of their joints like this have a bit more of a solid feel to them. But anyway, this has been Andrew for CollectionDX.com. Looking at a terrific entry in Unite Warriors. Not just Combiner Wars now. Anyway, thank you for watching.